Good evening, good evening. Happy Tuesday evening. Welcome to episode 3, Work and Business Boundaries. Today we're talking about work and business boundaries, aka that constant tug between being available and protecting your sanity. If you've ever had a job outside of the house, the home, I'm sure you understand. I'm sure you can relate. Here's the deal. Work will take as much, any job, any job you're at will take as much as you're willing to give, especially because they're only paying you for so much. If you don't set boundaries, you'll end up working 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 days on leap year, and resenting your job or even your business. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you own a business, you run a business, it's the same exact thing. It's just not in the corporate world. It's just not outside the home. I do both. So, running my business and working a job. And so I have double whammy. I feel it from both, right? I want my business to be successful and I want to be successful in my job, right? So again, we're back to the boundaries book here. I'm going to read you something just so you can remember. Effective workers do two things. They strive to do excellent work and they spend their time on the most important things. Many people do excellent work, but allow themselves to get sidetracked by unimportant things. They may do unimportant things very well. They feel like they are doing a great job, but their boss is upset because essential goals are not being met. Then they'll feel unappreciated and resentful because they have put so much effort. They were working hard, but they weren't placing boundaries on what they allowed to take up their time. And really important things did not get their attention. So say no to the unimportant and say no to the inclination to do less than your best. If you're doing your best work on the most important things, you will reach your goals. Let's take a lesson from Jethro, which is Moses' father-in-law, who, seeing Moses' lack of boundaries, asked him why he was working so hard. This comes from Exodus 18, verses 14 through 27. And Moses said, "Because the people need me." "What you are doing is not good," Jethro replied. "You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone." That's verses 17 and 18. Even though Moses was doing a good job, good work, Jethro saw that he was going to burn himself out. Does that sound familiar? Is that not what we do? Moses had allowed the good work to go too far. Limits, limits on good work keep them good. So we need to make sure that we are setting those limits on what we're doing, and we need to make sure that we are not don't burn ourselves out, right? Um, so we've talked about setting limits on someone else, and we talked about friends, family members. Now you need to set limits on yourself, and that's where it comes into the work and business boundaries. You need to realize how much time and energy you have and manage your work accordingly. Know what you can do, when you can do it, and say no to everything else. Learn to know your limits and enforce them. Say to your team or your boss, if I'm going to do A today, I will not be able to get B done until this day. Is it okay, or do we need to rethink the plan? Now, if you're in corporate world and um, here are some suggested steps. Like if you own your own business, you're going to have this conversation with yourself. But, well, first of all, tell me, drop me a 5 in the chat. Who here, who works outside the home, corporate world, who here has ever felt the need to maybe check emails, let's say at midnight at night or after hours? So you got home and, oh, I need to check my emails. Has anyone ever done that? I know I was up just that other night, talking about boundaries, just 2 nights ago. I was up at 1:30 in the morning, sending an email to my team. So, um, I, c- I'm totally guilty of this. That's just why I'm doing this for myself, and hopefully I can help somebody else. But again, let me know. Have you ever felt the need to check emails, um, send an email, something like that, in the middle of the night, maybe, or late at night, later in the evening when you've already been home from work, already put in your 8 to 10 hours, um, and you still felt the need you had to do that? Um, who here struggles separating work time from personal time? Anybody struggle with that, or is that just me? When you leave work at work. Don't have that issue, right? That's not me. Mm-mm. That's not me. Anyone else? Let me know. Let me know. Again, am I alone in this conversation? Am I the only one that has this issue? Please tell me no. Please. Okay. So, um, boundaries at work actually make you more professional because people respect clarity. So again, if we're clear with our boundaries, they're going to respect us more. Okay. Work will take, like again, I tell you guys, work will take as much out of you if you don't set your boundaries. They're going to take as much as you'll give. I promise you. Here's some real life scenarios where work can get into your personal space, personal time. A boss or a client texting you after hours. Just had that yesterday. Yep, just yesterday. I'm on PTO this week. Just yesterday, had someone, a boss, texted me, calling me, actually called me. Yeah. hmm Taking on too many projects because you don't want to say no. Yeah, this has to get done. Can you take it on? Can you do it? Feeling guilty for taking a lunch break or a day off. It was just 2 weeks ago when I said I'm taking my lunch break every day. If I go sit in my car for 30 minutes, I'm taking my lunch break every day just to get out of the building. So it was just 2 weeks ago when I made that decision. So anyone else have a problem with that? Because if I was eating, I was eating at my desk and I'm still working. That's not a lunch break. You're just multitasking at that point. That's not a lunch break. So anybody else feel like that, or feel like when you take a day off, you feel guilty for that? You shouldn't have to. We all deserve our days off. We all deserve to take our PTOs. Even if you're sick, you deserve your sick days, right? We all get sick. So don't feel guilty for that. Um, oh, yeah, drop me an emoji, or give me some hearts or something. If you've ever eaten lunch at your desk, still doing work. Like I said, that's what I used to do all the time. And I finally said, nope, I'm getting out of the building. Even if I don't eat, even if I just go sit in my car, but I'm leaving this building every single day for at least 30 minutes, if not my full hour. You're entitled to it. Labor law said you're entitled to it. So, yep, that's setting your boundaries. That's giving you rest time. That gives you time to rejuvenate, right? Okay. Here's some tips for setting work boundaries. We talked about all the distractions and everything. Now here's some tips, can't talk, some quick ways to draw the line without losing professionalism. So we want to do this and we want to stay professional, right? Define your work hours and stick to them. I'm guilty of this. Supposed to get off at 5, don't leave till 8 or 9 o'clock. That's not good. Mm-mm. You're supposed to work a defined number of hours, and that's what you need to do. Now, is it okay to stay over 30 minutes trying to get something done you're in the middle of? Like, okay, that's different. But to stay hours after you're scheduled to go home, spend time with your family, just rest, that's not okay. And again, I'm talking to myself right here. I'm preaching to myself here because I'm guilty of this. And I hope I'm not the only one. Well, maybe I do hope I'm the only one. Maybe you guys all have it all together, and I need to learn from you guys. Use autoresponders or quick replies for after-hour messages. There's some CRMs out there that if it's somebody from certain numbers, you can respond, "Hey, I'm not working right now." Like I said, if you own a business, entrepreneurs, small businesses, big businesses, whatever, um, you can do those. Just like those auto repliers, like if you send somebody an email, and they're on vacation, they'll say, "Hey, I can't get back to you till the following Monday because I'm out of the office right now." We have the same exact things, that you can say that you can put on for after hours. Kind of like your night mode on your phone. So when you're sleeping, your phone doesn't ding every 5 minutes, right? Well, there's autoresponders to respond to after hour messages, text messages, calls from, work numbers. Number 3 is prioritize. Just because it's urgent to them doesn't mean it's urgent to you. So what is that old saying? Your emergency doesn't constitute I forgot how that went, but something about just because it's your emergency doesn't mean I have to jump. I wish I knew it. Wish I knew what that was, but, yeah, it doesn't constitute an emergency on my part because it's an emergency for you. So prioritize. Just because it may be urgent to somebody else doesn't mean it's urgent to you. And I can relate to that. Protect your breaks and off days like appointments. So just like I told you guys, yesterday, schedule your self-care, schedule your off days, schedule your breaks, schedule your lunches. Take those breaks, take those lunches. Okay? Protect your time. Start protecting your time like it's your paycheck. You don't want nobody to get your money, right? If you open up your bank account tomorrow and someone went in there and took your money out of your bank account, you're going to be pretty mad, right? Protect your time like that, just like you do your bank accounts. It's your time, and you need to protect it. So don't let nobody steal it. And that's, like I said, including the job you work at, the company you work for, whoever you clock in for. Don't let them take your time. So protect your lunch breaks, your 15-minute breaks. Protect that like your paycheck, like you protect your paycheck. Okay. Or you protect your cell phone. We don't lay our cell phone down just anywhere, right? We protect that at all costs because it contains a lot of valuable information. So think of the same thing as your lunch break or um, your 15-minute breaks, your rest periods. Protect those as well. Um, so again, I told you guys I'm on PTO this week, right? So yesterday and again, I told you guys I'm going to try to keep this pretty vague because I don't want to get myself in trouble with my 9 to 5 or my W9, but W4, I guess, whatever it is. Um, but yesterday I get a text message from somebody and it's like, "Hey, where's this form at?" And again, we're peers. You should know where that form's at for one. And for two, there's other people you can call. I'm on PTO. What if I was on a ship somewhere What if I was out of the country? You would not have been able to call me. But because I'm sitting at home on staycation, you think it's okay to call me. That's not okay. Again, my time. I'm on PTO, right? If you're on PTO, don't try to bug you, you know, but there's other people in the building. There's other people that could have been called. But because I have not set clear boundaries as far as, and did I respond? Well, of course I did, but I shouldn't have, right? Again, a lesson for myself. Like, setting those boundaries, like, don't call me on my PTO, you know? But should the person have even tried to call me? No, they shouldn't have, but they did. So just kind of or they expect you to answer right away, um, because I didn't set those clear boundaries, right? So again, my own fault. Um, but going back, I will have, I will be very clear about what my boundaries are. Like I said, so this is a good time for me to dive into this, digest it, and then figure out what my boundaries are. Like I said, that way going back to work, I know. This is actually a true story. I've tried to answer emails in the middle of the night and halfway open, or even answer phone calls because alarms are going off or something, and let's just say that try to answer an email, eyes half open, can't really see very well, type of thing. Um, Spell check maybe doesn't really do so well, so you look really stupid. So not very smart to do that. Plus, answering calls. I've answered calls in the middle of the night from alarm companies and so forth, and um, of course, I'm not really thinking what they're saying because I'm half asleep. So then when I uh, try to relay the message I'm given, it doesn't even make sense because I wasn't paying attention. I mean, I was half asleep. So why even answer the phone call if you're not gonna get the information correct, right? I mean, there's no sense of that. So, um, yeah, you're off. You're out of the four walls of the facility. Mm-mm. There's no reason. No reason. Okay, so drop me a one if you ever struggled to say no to extra work. So, a coworker, maybe a manager, comes to you and be like, "Hey, we had this project and I really need to get done. Is there any way you can take it?" You know your plate's already full, but you don't want to let the person down. It's got to get done. There's a deadline, right? So, do you take it? Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you have, right? I know I have. Yeah. Okay, I'll do it. So that creates me to stay longer, stay additional hours, right? Trying to get this done because there's a deadline. It's got to get done. You know, we shouldn't have to do that, right? Nope, can't do it. My plate's already full. If it needs to get done, I guess you need to stay and do it. But no, we take those extra projects on. What about you need to start being more productive with your protective with your calendar. So again, I showed you guys my calendar and I told you don't let anyone write anything in your calendar, right? You're the only one that writes anything in your calendar. So who else needs to be more protective with your calendar? Quit letting people write their appointments in your calendar. And I don't mean like their personal appointments. I mean just creating stuff for you to do. Don't give nobody the pencil or the pen. Protect your calendar and you decide what's going on your calendar. The same thing as you decide what's going on your desk in your personal business, in the business of the four, brick and mortar that you work at. Don't take on any extra projects if you can't. Now, if you have the time and there's an extra project or you want to shine and, you want to commit to that, that's different. But like I said, something that's going to stretch you thin, wear you out, don't do it. We don't have to do it, right? I was going to try to find this really quickly. I don't think I read this to you guys. Maybe I'm not going to find it. Yeah, so we're talking about work, right? So as hard as it sounds, you need to take responsibility for yourself and take steps to change your situation. So if you're feeling overwhelmed at work, too much work and not enough time, right? Staying late, working overtime, not spending the time with your family that, you know, you should be. Some overtime during seasonal crunches may be expected of you, but an everyday situation, that's not normal, right? If you can't get your job done within 40 hours, there's either issue with you or there's an issue with what's expected of you, right? Again, prioritize what's important. But number one, set boundaries on your work. Decide how much overtime you're willing to do. Some overtime during seasonal crunches may be expected. And most of us know that, right? We're aware of that. So, you know, you work in retail, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, that type of thing, you know, you're going to work those, you know, overtime hours and stuff like that. And every company has those, you know, those times. So, you know, you work a company and it's inventory time, you know you're going to work extra. Like I said, in every company's overtime crunch is going to be different depending on what kind of company you're talking about. But number two is review a job description if one exists. So go back to, you know, when you took that position, when you got hired, and see what your job description is. Now, are you being pulled way outside that job description? And yes, I know every job description says anything else that we assign, like I get that. But now, are you completely doing a job that's in a whole different category and doesn't even fit your job description? You know, maybe they need to change your title, right? So make a list of the tasks you need to complete in the next month. Make a copy of the list and assign your own priority to each item. Indicate on this copy any tasks that are not part of your job description. So kind of keep analyze that and see, you know, what am I being expected to do that's not on my job description? Is it someone else's job that they're giving you somebody else's job because they can't handle it? And then number four would be make an appointment to see your boss to discuss your job overload. So together you should review the list of tasks you need to complete in the next month. So if it's in a situation where you're putting in a lot of overtime, putting a lot of extra time, have that meeting, schedule that meeting, and just, you know, maybe they're not aware you have these extra tasks that they're not aware you're doing. And then maybe, like I said, that'd be a good conversation to have. Maybe they don't realize how much you are doing, and maybe they do. So in our next episode, we're tackling self-care and wellness boundaries, and that's when we really get real about how we treat ourselves. So a lot of self-care, really just how we treat ourselves. Like, how much time do you do for things that you want to do, and take time for yourself. Self-care and wellness boundaries, okay? So as we close, say this with me. I can be professional and protect my peace. My time matters. I can be professional and protect my peace. My time matters. Okay, you all. Thank you so much. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.